All right, everybody. So today we are talking about a hot topic I have found that is probably the, I would say one of the most profitable ways that you can grow your business. A very fast way. It is a very simple way. It is the way that most people have the hardest time with, and it is outreach. And I actually did, you guys will see, I'm doing a 5-day training on marketing, and we'll talk about like where your marketing should come from, how to craft a marketing formula. If you guys want to come next Wednesday, we could definitely talk about that live. But it's essentially the way that I realized that I built my business from going from 5 figures all the way to 6 figures in that first year is talking to people. Now, we're going to discuss this at length about what outreach is and what outreach is not. Okay. So there are misconceptions about it, there are concerns about it, and we're going to cover all of that today and then get into some coaching. So I want you guys to think about, with your business, who an ideal customer is, who would be a good fit for your product. As we're going through this, I want you to just start brainstorming it. The next thing is I want to talk to you guys about overselling. It's a concept that in every coaching program that I've done, whether it's through the Life Coach School or whether it's through other programs, overselling is really important. And it's the biggest thing that I see businesses missing momentum and creating inconsistency in their businesses, is because they are not overselling. So we're going to talk about like the problems that people face. And then we're going to talk about how to bring in more cold leads. That means people who don't know you, who've never heard of you, how to bring these people in. And then how to bring in more warm and hot leads, how to keep up with people who are interested with your business. So I want you to reflect, and I want you to think about, who is your ideal customers, and think about like this in your head. Okay. What kind of qualities do they have? Do they respond very quickly, or is that what you're coaching them on? Are you like needing to help them with time management? Are they someone who wants to look really professional? Like when I had a personal stylist in the group, they were focusing on people who sought out professional appearances, and that was who she was focusing on. We also want to think about, where do they hang out? We're going to start with your marketing, like I talked about in like week 3, about marketing in a place that you feel really comfortable in. So if your social media platform of choice is Instagram, go to Instagram. And usually your ideal client will typically, unless you work in something like Vindia does when she's like working with larger corporations, that is going to be something that you're going to have as you want to be thinking about like where they are, what they are looking for, and how you can become known as an expert in your field so that you can go and help them. And next week, we're going to talk about like my favorite way to position myself, which is doing presentations. So that's going to be another extra layer of positioning for you. So I want you to think about these 2 questions. Who do you serve? Who is a person that you want to serve? What is the specific problem that you solve? How do you serve them? And why are you the best person for them specifically? Those are the questions I like to ask myself in thinking about where they are online. So I serve people who are a pre-6-figure business. They might be just starting out, or they've been at it for a long time. I solve the problem of creating systems and organization in their business so they can see the structural errors that they might be missing to scale. I serve you guys either in one-on-one, or I serve in obviously our group. And I am a great person for people to work with specifically because there's MBA programs, but there's no program that teaches you how to be a solopreneur. And I've compiled the best of the best I've done a ton of trainings, and I think this could be helpful for people. And so that is what I want you to think about when you're thinking about your best person. You also want to think about why you're best for them. And then again, your positioning is just like where you are placed so that they can find you and know that you're the best person for them. So this is the problem that I've seen with a lot of businesses is consistency. People are lacking that bringing in sales consistently. Like you'll have 1 month where you'll have 3 consults and the next month none, and next month 4. And it's like, it just goes really in and out. And what we want to do is we want to solve for the consistency issue. A lot of times, if we, a problem that like I found is that like I would take it really personally if people didn't want to re-sign with me. And I was like, oh, well, then I did a really bad job. I was a bad coach for them. They didn't get a lot out of it. They didn't get a lot of value. And that is not true. You can deliver for your clients and do an amazing job. And it just means that their current needs are met and they're ready to move on to another source. So a lot of times for me, when I was filling this group, just an example, I had anticipated a lot of people re-signing for the group, and some of them did, some of them didn't. And I was like, oh, I just kind of like thought people would resign. And that's actually happening right now. It's like, I kind of thought like, oh, this would be happening. And it's like, no, that doesn't always happen. That's happening with some of my one-on-one clients. And it doesn't mean that they are didn't have a great time. It just means that their current needs are met and they're moving forward. So if you are looking at your roster and you're like, okay, like I have the amount of clients I want, you want to keep selling. The other thing is we get expectations. So I found that like expectations are the enemy of success a lot of the time, because, and I think that's a quote, or if not, that's a good one. Like I'll use that for later. But it's like what happened is like when I first started my business, I was again coaching children. It was the pandemic and people were looking for tutors for remote learning. And people came to me, and because I was a teacher, I had 17 consults first month. 17. Had no idea how to run a consult, no idea what I was doing. And guess how many people bought? None. None of the people. None of the people. And then finally I had 3 former client students come, and then I switched to teaching or coaching adults. But what happened is I kind of thought 17 consults was like pretty typical. I was like, great. It's like, this is what I should expect every month. And what happened is that is not what happened. For 7 months from October to April, I had 0 consults. And so what happened is when I had that expectation, I would change things in my business and I just wouldn't try sometimes, instead of continuing to keep up the momentum, doing what is working for me. The other thing is, I, like many of you guys, now I've been in business for quite some time. Like I've been in business for 3 years, and my current audience is, they know what I do for the most part. I have had someone that reached out to me recently and they were like, wait, so you're a coach? And I was like, do you know this? I was like, yeah, but I'm a coach. This is what I do. I talk about it like every day, but still there are going to be people that don't know you that are in your current audience. However, we want to bring in more of the people to get to know you, especially because like me at first, like even so I switched to business coaching in September, and a lot of my audience didn't have business. They were not business owners. So when you switch niches, you want to bring in new people always. You always want to have your audience feeling replenished, new, and bringing in new potential customers. So what we have to do is we have to oversell. We wanted, instead of, and one of the mistakes I've made is in what I will eventually teach in this program is how to launch better. Because what happens for me is I really ramp up for a launch, I get really prepared, and then I have not figured out yet. I will, and I promise I'll teach you how to replenish yourself after a launch. Like I actually felt better than the first one. I've heard the first 4 launches are just like growing pains. Like you're just gonna have to like go through it, and it is an adventure. But what I found is that like I would amp up, and I still do, and I'm learning, but it's like I would amp up before a launch, and then I would like ghost people afterwards and just be like, sorry, it's like I need to like get my life together, which means that you're not taking care of your audience consistently or selling your product consistently. You want to make sure that, especially because we are selling our product in an evergreen way, most everyone is, that means that you want to be selling all the time. Evergreen means all the time. Open and close selling is when you actually like say like, oh, I'm only open for a certain period of time, just like this group. And you want to make sure that increases your reach. So you always want to be bringing new people in. Your reach is like, if you think about like outreach, like you're reaching out to new people and you're bringing them in. I'll use that word a lot. So just in case you have never heard that before. So why do people like, if this is really, if it's a lot of times it's overselling and meeting new people, that really doesn't sound, it's very simple. Like I said, this is a simple concept, hardest thing for people to get every single time. I've taught this one-on-one and group now. Everyone really struggles with outreach. The people that can get outreach in a very, you'll see the difference. Like I will know who is doing outreach and who isn't, literally just based on your numbers. And it's something that you want to track. And your numbers will reflect the amount of effort that you put into this. You do not have to do outreach. You never have to meet new people ever, but it will be a sign that your business is growing when you do this. So here's why people don't do this and why you might have not done outreach previously. It feels uncomfortable. When you don't have your thoughts aligned, it can feel really awkward to meet new people and reach out to people, for sure. And a lot of people don't even get past that discomfort. There's like, nope, not going to do it. The other thing is that we're scared that people are going to judge us and think negative things about us. Of course, we're humans. Our primitive brain is literally designed to keep us safe. And if we were excommunicated from a tribe, if we were like an outcast, literally physically, we would die. That is not the case anymore. We are literally like not in a world where we are tribal thinkers, but our brain, we literally have to overcome our primitive brain in order to actually meet people. And even as, although I know that you guys might be in this place where you're like, oh, marketing is really challenging. It feels a lot safer when you're doing what's called outbound marketing. It's called billboard marketing, where you don't really have to put yourself out there. You're just like, here's my business, versus like actually doing interactive marketing and talking to people. This is the bridge, the gap that we're going to make. It does feel a lot more funky. And if anyone has tried it, you all can attest to it. It's definitely going to come up and we're going to coach on it a lot. If you guys, because you guys are scaling to 6 figures, you guys want to make sure that you're ready for this. So why this is the case is we have a motivational triad that teaches us that we want to conserve energy, which means, you know, what's easier than doing something new and doing something like outreach? Let's just not. We want to avoid pain, which means rejection, and seek pleasure. I feel comfortable posting. I'm just going to post like 50 times. Like that was my solution. I was like, ooh, outreach feels weird. Let's just post every day, 3 times a day. I was posting at 1.15 times a day in my business. Fun fact. Like 15 times a day, a week. So I did 3 times a day for 5 days straight. I was like, yeah, I would rather do that. I was like, that seems great. Wasted a lot of time. Please don't do what I did. It's like, this is the whole program is like, learn from my mistakes. It's like, I made all of them. Don't do what I did. So when you're going to be doing the motivational triad, if it's trying to keep you safe, you're going to have to intentionally become what I call the accomplishment triad. That means that you're going to be seeking long-term gratification, and that instead of avoiding pain of like, oh my God, they could judge me, it's like we're avoiding regret. So for me, this was a huge shift. A lot of the teachers, fun fact, they're not always as altruistic as we would once hope. And I hung out with some people that were like fairly judgmental about what I would do. And like, I was so scared to post. I literally like started coaching for free from March till August, didn't tell anybody. And it still took me the entire month of August just to post once. And I was so scared that people judging me. I was terrified. I was just scared to even put myself out there. And what I realized is that like these people were judging me anyways. Like I walked into them and they were like joking around about me being like a Disney princess. And like I was like, oh, even though I was the version of you that I thought you wanted me to be, you still judged me. And I was like, oh, well, then I might as well be true to myself and grow this business and make some money instead. So you want to avoid regret. It's like, I think Sarah said in the last call, like you never regret the things that you do. It's like the things you do, you'll never regret. It's like people don't look back on their deathbed. She said it way better than this, but she said like, you don't look back on your deathbed and thinking about what you did do, you think about what you didn't do. And so it's like, we want to think about like, this is our one channel of life that we know of. I don't know about, no, I have no idea about reincarnation exists. However, if we want to live our lives to the best, to the fullest, might as well put ourselves out there and go for it. The other thing is like, we want to conserve energy. And as someone who is shockingly an introverted extrovert, I present very extroverted, and I definitely like have moments where I'm like, I need to not talk to people. And I also have like a lot of weird social anxiety about like talking to people. It like, I literally feel like I'm going to throw up a lot of the time. And when it's online, it feels weird. It definitely does feel different. Know that there's going to be like a shift of your experience of it. And instead, like, I really had to train my brain to be like, okay, we're just meeting a new friend and they could really use your help. And I instead now have become energized. Like, I'm now meeting more people. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it feels really different. So that's a big piece of it. The other thing is, instead of seeking pleasure and being like, you know what would be better? Doing something that's comfortable, like posting, which posting might not even feel comfortable, but it definitely feels more comfortable to your brain because you've probably done it before. You're going to be seeking success and being like, okay, yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, this is funky. And I want the long-term success. So again, long-term gratification, and it's service focused. We're thinking about them instead of ourselves. Again, went into that in depth, but remember, accomplishment triad, way to go. And I'm saying, I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm going to tell you it's worth it. And one of the people from the last round, she was like, outreach works. Like, she was like, yeah, like she made 10K in the first 4 months. And she was like, it works. She signed like 5 new clients just from getting to know new people. And so it's like, I'm not telling you, and this works for everybody. Everyone that I've seen do it, it works. I've never seen this not work for anybody. The only people who it hasn't worked for are people who don't do it. So just like fun facts, it will work for you if you're willing to get out there and feel really uncomfortable. And again, it'll be worth it in the end. So here are the rules. This is not cold DMing. You are not reaching out to people, swear to God, in your inbox. And you're not like, hey, come work with me. Hey, have you heard about what I do? I would love for you to work with me. I can help you with anything. Work with me. So those are the people that you probably get in your spam. You probably get them and you're like, this is why I'm never going to like talk to people online. Don't be a weirdo, just start a conversation. So like I think I mentioned last week, I want you to imagine that your business is a store. And I want you to imagine that people following you online are walking in your store. I want you to imagine if people walk into your store and you just sit there and you're like, and they're like, I just walked in. And you're just like, we're here. We're here. We're doing the thing. And then you're like, and maybe you'll even point at things. You're like, here are my nice posts. Do you like the posts? I'll post more. You like the post, but they feel weird. It's like, and we've all been there. And the thing that is amazing about like everyone that I've attracted so far, it's like, no one's like standoffish. No one's like, oh yeah, I'm like, you have to come and prove yourself to me. We're all really like quite kind humans. We just don't want to make them feel awkward. And in the process, we make it awkward. You know what I mean? It's like, we're like, oh, I don't want to disturb you. I'm just going to let you peruse. And if you really want it, come up to me. And then what happens is like, then you're like, okay, so maybe they like a post, they pick up like an item. They're like, so you imagine like people who are liking all your posts. Have you ever been in a store and you're just carrying this might be me. I get like, I hate shopping, but like I'll go and I'll just like grab all the things. I'm like very overwhelmed. I'm like, I just need to buy all the things. And then I'm like holding this like giant like pack of clothes. And then I just want you to imagine the person at the counter is like, building up some arm strength. So imagine like people are liking all of your posts and you're just like, they're like, you could let me into a dressing room. We could like do that. And you're like, no, still not gonna talk to you. So it's like, you're just having a conversation like, hey, I noticed it's like, or it's like, just like being like, hey, thanks for following me. I appreciate it. Let me know if you need anything. Just like someone would do in a store. You just write it out versus saying it. Sometimes what you can do to make it feel less weird is I do a lot of videos. you guys might have gotten some. Like, I'll just be like, because it feels more natural to me to talk. So I'll be like, hey, thank you so much for following me. Nice to meet you. But I also know that that can be really annoying if they're like reading their messages and they have to like pause and put headphones in. And so catch 22, feel free to do it if you want. You can also use voice memos. The next one, it's like, hey, like, I'm pretty sure, and this is for like more so like the cold outreach we'll get into, but like, hey, like, thank you so much for following me. And if they're like, hey, thank you so much. And it's like, find like some commonalities, like talk to them, look at their stories, be like, I would thank you so much for like, because you can't like, you're not actually physically seeing them as a person. So imagine like you're just like looking at their outfit and they're like, nice shirt, love it. Like just being a normal person in a store, you are a business. This is what it's like. It's just a different feeling online. Okay. The next thing is to be genuinely interested because you are. They followed you for a reason. How cool is that? Literally online, we can just like get people to like follow us. And we're like, wow, this is awesome. This is your like, thank you so much for following me. Like, I'm so excited that you're here. Like, I've created this as like my baby. So like enjoy. We're gonna have a great time. And then we want to disconnect from our goals. This is the hardest part. You're going to have conversations with people back and forth. I actually just did it with a person and I was like, I know. And I ended up not doing her program. And I was like, I know how, I was like, I genuinely, I love you dearly, but this is stuff I already have learned. And I'm like, so thankful for you for taking time. She messaged me like, probably like, I'm not even kidding, 20 times, voice memos back and forth. And I ended up still not working with her because I knew I talked to someone who was in their program and I was like, this is all the stuff I'm actually teaching with more graphics. And she was like, ah, so it's not you. Don't make it about you. Just think about what would be good for them. I promise you, your goals will be met. The next thing is, this is why the creepy DMs don't work. People need time to build a relationship. They're not going to like, they're coming to your store to buy something, but there also might be other stores that have the things. You want to build a relationship and just talk to them. And I would say like 10 times instead of leading with, don't buy my shit. That's a very important thing. We don't want to lead with that. The next thing is that just have a little perspective. Remember, there's 6 billion, and I think there are 7 billion people in this world. They're going to buy from you. Okay. And so this is where the philosophy of being committed to your goal, being like, okay, I'm committed to helping people, but I'm not attached to this person being the person I help. Like this person I talked with, very, very sweet person. She was like very committed, but she was not attached to me being her person. And so it's important. So here's what I would recommend. Now, if there is no perfect way to do outreach, but this is the recommendation, I still don't make, like now that I'm fully booked, I do not make time for this every single day, every single week. But if you're looking for something to do with your time and you're posting and spending all this time writing your copy, I would highly, highly recommend doing this for an hour a day. 30 minutes in the beginning of the day to make the relationship, 30 minutes at the end of the day to respond to people. So this is what I would recommend doing on Tuesday and Thursday. This is the funkiest one that you can leave out if you want. But again, this is how people are building businesses very quickly. This is where you want to go to places where you have common interests. When I was doing general coaching, I was like, oh my God, I do core power yoga pretty much every day. I used to teach there. And I was like, just found people online and go to core power. I would go to the followers and I would see and I'll walk you through that a little bit. I would see who had a page that I could look at and I would just friend people and be like, hey, that's what I was talking about before. I think we both go to core power. So nice to meet you. It's like, hey, I'm pretty sure we're both in that. Nice to meet you. People might not respond and it's okay. Then there are groups. Thinking about who you have, like who you're serving. For me, the Women's Social Club is an entrepreneurial group. I'm definitely like reaching out to there. There are also women's groups. There are business groups. There are so many places that you can go connect with things that your problem solves. Then also go to places, but maybe you got certified. I got certified at the Life Coach School. I connect with people who have been in similar experiences and I'm like, oh, coaches might be a great fit for my product. I don't solely work with coaches, but it would be great for them. And the last line is like talking with people who are local. even though you might be in a super small remote area, it's also great to find people who are close to you, like offline Raleigh, Durham. Those are places I looked at. So those are places where you'll go and you'll just find people that you've never met before. And you're like, hey, I think we have a common connection here. Nice to meet you. And also like ending with a question can be really helpful. I mean, like, love this, where'd you get this? Whatever. Nurturing. Then you're going to go to anyone that you've had a conversation with who could be a potential customer, people who are liking your post, people who are commenting on your post, people who are messaging you separately. These are what we call warm leads. These are people who it's like, oh, it's seeming like we could be a good fit. That would be great. And then hot leads are people who have done consults in the past. If you do a consult and you ghost people, I would recommend that's like, don't do that. Think about it, because then it's like, okay, you were only in it for your business instead of actually getting to know this person. So you want to continue to have a relationship with people who had a past consult, talking to people who bought, like we're talking about buying and didn't, who has participated in things that you have, like the social polls, participating in a group or done a webinar. These are hot leads. We definitely want to be tracking them. And so here's the protocol I like to do, and like be like 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the day. Anyone who's followed you, anyone who's talked about coaching, if you have a Facebook group, anyone who liked your posts, anyone who did a consult with you, this is what you do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 30 minutes in the morning, just reach back to all these people, 30 minutes to respond at the end of the day. I like to check in with a question like, hey, how you doing? What's going on with you? The next thing is Tuesday, Thursday. You want to find, like, that's where you go to the local people. You go to their followers, you find the public accounts. I'll show you what that looks like currently for Instagram. Things are always changing with social media, but currently this is what it looks like. And you can be like, even like a funny thing, like this is where I was like, sorry, didn't mean to creep, but I saw that we both go to Core Power. Like, easy. Just like, do not be creepy. But if you do this, and let's say you get 10 people each day, just 10 people a day, that's 52,000 people a year, 5,200 people a year. I'm guessing that maybe 10 to 20 of those people will probably want to work with you. And that's where this shit works for everybody. Because if you talk to enough people, it's called saturating the pond. That's what you want to do. Saturate the pond for these leads. So this is what, if you want to add things like other ideas, this is just the protocol. And then when you're tracking people, what it'll look like is you'll have their first name. And the reason why I'm taking a little bit longer on this is like, it's so important. If you guys do this, you don't have to. Again, nothing I do, you have to do, but I've just seen so much growth from it. This is where you're going to have your nurturing list of all the people who have maybe been to a webinar that you're doing. We're going to do one all together next week. You're going to be planning that out. People who've done consults with you, people who have been like seemingly like you've had conversations with about coaching or whatever your business is. You want to have a list of that. And then you're going to have first name, last name, the date you add them, and then the date they follow up. This has been so fun to see. Like, I've talked to people, like one person I talked to in January, and she converted in September. So we just kept talking for a very long time. And then she finally decided to sign up. And you want to keep the date of the last follow-up. This is what you want to check in with on the, like whenever you're checking in the morning, doing that. Notes about them. Y'all, this is so important, including Instagram handles, emails, Facebook. Sometimes you'll see mine in a second. I like will put the link to their name within my spreadsheet so I can just click on them and find them. So that like if it's someone, just so it doesn't have to take a long time. And then their source, whether it's Instagram, word of mouth, Facebook, whatever you want to do, that goes here. And then this is an example of the way that the connection list, and I'll show you that now. Also, the consult tracker is important. So you want to have first name, last name, date, follow-up. And then you want to take these people, put them on the nurturing list. And then people who are in your Facebook, also when you do a webinar. So I went through this kind of fast. I'm going to go through them again. Nurturing is for the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. These are for people who you've talked to, people who have come to webinars, all that good stuff. Connections, brand new people you've never met before. Consults, people you've obviously done a sales call with. Webinar, people who have signed up for your webinar and registered, and your Facebook group. So what this will look like, and mine looks a little bit different, just so you guys know. Here is what it looks like if you've been in this for a while. So I've got like first name, last name, date added, last follow-up. And I actually did this yesterday during our group call. So, and it really didn't take long. I did all these people I reached out to in an hour. Not so bad. Like that was like 62 people. And I connected with them. So like I'll go and I'll be like, this girl is someone who I had a connection with. And I'll like be like, hey, she came to this marketing conversion 101. She's Facebook friends with one of my high school friends. She came to the mastermind interest webinar. I was like, hey, just wanted to check in. These are people only on this list are people who I've talked to at length about things. Outreach is it's called nurturing list. And then the connection list are just random people that I like would go and talk to. So I gave the example of going to the life coach school. I like to do this on Instagram. I learned this from Berna Thorin. She is awesome and no longer does this, but it was very helpful for me to see like an example. So I would go to somewhere like the life coach school. Again, I gave you examples of all the places that like you could go to, common interest, education, local, and groups. The way that it looks is you go to here to the life coach school. And what you want to do is you want to find people currently, the way that it looks, again, it could change, that have a circle around them. That means that they have a story that is live currently. And that means that they are also a public profile. These people are you can go in and be like, oh, I think that like Ray Discovery might be a great client, but I can't see any of their posts. I can't get to know them and they have no story. So I'm not going to seek out those people because it would take quite some time. However, this Tori person seems pretty cool. And she's like, oh, she's a business coach too. Awesome. And she's a speaker. Seems legit. Catalyst Club. Love that for her. And I'll usually click on their stories and I'll be like, oh, that's awesome. Cool. Want to know what I talked to my coach about? Cool. It's like, this is so neat. I'm working with my coach to create my first funnel this year. Who are you working with? Currently, I'm working with Jackie Murphy and Stacy Bayman. I always mess up her name, but it's like I like to give like a little bit about like I'll look at this and I'll be like, oh, okay, like I'll just find some form of us like connecting. Sometimes I'll follow, sometimes I won't. Who knows if Tori will reach back out to me? We're just getting to know each other. We're getting to figure out things. And she seems like she could be a great person. Like maybe I could help her with systems in the back end of her business. Who knows? Or maybe we can connect later and do like an Instagram live together or collaborate. Either way, seems really neat. And what I'll do is I'll take her page and I'll go to outreach and I will post it. I'll be like 5-8, sorry, it says 5-9, and that's what I'll write here. And I'll be like LCS, Life Coach School, paste name. This is that you don't need to do it at all. You could just focus with the people that you know. However, I do know that a lot of times, especially if you're starting out, it can take quite some time to build up an audience, and you might need to do more of this at the beginning. Are there any questions about that? I know this took a little bit longer than expected.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
This is Maria. Excuse me. Were you that person that you just reached out to, you would consider like a cold lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you do track those.
Yes.
That's the connection tab. Okay, sorry. I was thinking there wasn't a tab for that, and it was just like you're doing a bunch, you're not really keeping track. But you do put like their name in there.
Only their name. And like, as you can see, I have been really bad about this. Like, this is why I said, like, be careful about consistency, because I got like really burned out from it. But like, I'll just put their name in here. Sometimes you can get it so you can, like, if they're a Facebook person, like you can do it like this. But yeah, so I can just come back to it. Usually the outreach ones, they don't, like, she is now a person that I've had a relationship, but the majority of these people don't always convert. However, whenever I do the outreach, someone books a consult. Like, it's weird. They won't typically be on this list. Sometimes I'm even on this list. But what happens is somebody will just like come in. And I think it's because, like, putting effort into like the universe and being like, hey, taking this really seriously. I know this is gonna work, you know? Just building those relationships is important.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions? Cool. Well, we'll do a quick picture and then let's get started with some coaching. And I know Andrea, we're gonna start with you, girl. So you guys ready? I'm gonna put I work hard so my cat can have a better life mug. Okay, you guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Great. Okay, let's get started. Andrea, start us off with a win, and then we'll get into it.
Oh, a win. Okay. I guess before this call, I did do 30 minutes of outreach. I just like messaged some of my prior like group coaching clients and just like, hey, how's it going? Like, you know, what's going well for you, or is there anything I can help you with, kind of a thing. So
badass. And you didn't die. Great news, everybody. So, fun fact, you will not die if you do outreach. It feels like it. And if you want it, that's what the accountability time. If you feel like you're gonna die, get on there and be like, Megs, I feel like I'm gonna die. I'll be like, don't even worry about it. I'll coach you through it. And then you can actually get it done on the call. So
before the coaching, just a quick question though, because some of these coaching clients, like I have like emailed them after the close of the program and was like, hey, like here's a feedback form or whatever, and they were like non-responsive to that. I went ahead and I reached out to them, but like at what point do we just go, okay? Like,
good question. So I say I'll message people more than the average Joe. I'll give you that. So like I will talk to people. Try to find a good example. Okay, so this person, very interesting. And also this is private. Like, obviously, like if you guys know this person, zero qualms. She doesn't speak English. But every single time I do these polls and things to put information in, she likes all of them always. And she always puts her information in. I want to come to your thing. I want to be a part of this. And I'm like, great. So neat. Y'all are going to see every single time. I'm like, hey, what's your email? Like, so we'll just talk. So I would say like a solid 5 times. Like she like was like, hey, I would love to book a or like, would you like to book a consult? Slide here. I think it actually might be, she might have hired a VA or something that's doing it for her. And is just, I think if you engage on other people's pages, it can get you better reviews or something like that. Like people will view your things more. I do know if you interact with your hashtags, if you have time to interact with your hashtags, that's another way you can reach people. I just personally don't follow hashtags ever. So it's like that for me is like, I don't typically interact with them because I don't really use them. So that's like another way that you can gain people to like, you can like be like goal getters. Like there will be posts maybe for this. Maybe Dream Big is a better one. It's like, oh, cool. If you like this stuff, Instagram will sometimes give you better views. These are things that change very quickly. So I don't teach you guys that because I've heard those things change like 5 different times. So all of this is all subject to change. Meeting people never gets old, but I would say like a solid 5 times, which you could even just do like 2 or 3 times and be like, all right. And then what I'll do is I'll move them down and I'll be like, all right, move them down. And even like former clients who I was like they just don't have businesses. I was like, all right, I'll move them down too. People I did, these are parents. All remember I did 17 consults. All the parents that I started with are over there. So I'm like, I don't think you want business coaching.
Okay. So, kind of what's weighing on my mind right now. I have one one-on-one client right now. That's
Yep.
it. I'm having a lot of drama about that, but that's not really the thing I want coaching on. Well, it is actually. So I had my call with her last night, and it is her second to last call, for the 6-month package that she had signed up for. And kind of like what you were talking about at the beginning of the call, the whole like re-signing, right? Like, I know that there's still, like, I know she's made a lot of progress, and I know the coaching has been really good for her. But I feel like I'm already deciding ahead of time that she's not going to re-sign. So I feel already like I'm pulling back, and not trying to be, I guess, too pushy about it, because I already feel like she's going to be a no.
Okay. Okay. So this thought she's going to be a no feels probably like, how does that feel for you? We want to get to know that feeling. It's important.
Um,
Or like, where do you feel? Like, do you feel like a pit in your stomach? Do you feel like kind of funky every time you get on a call with her? That's where I feel it.
yeah, I mean, it's like kind of like I guess like a heaviness in my chest. Like, it feels like doomed or hopeless, or yeah, hopeless probably.
Huh? So just notice what you're doing. It's like you're deciding for her, not pressuring, and putting it in quotations, pressuring her, not, it's like you said, this is her second to last call. Have you had the resigning call yet?
No, it's next Monday.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's her last session, and I guess that's when I was deciding that we would
Mhm.
talk about that. I don't know if you have any other suggestion on that. I've also been like debating in my head, like, oh, what offer could I give her to make her resign, right? Like, to like manipulate her into wanting to resign. Like, well, I certainly can't tell her that, like, oh, I have this great new program and it's like $2,000 for 4 months, because I think she paid $1,200 for 6 months, and like, that's not a better deal. So of course she won't sign that. Maybe I'll just grandfather her in at that price and still give her 6 months. Like, yeah, just kind of not having faith in the value that I provide, and thinking that money is the bottom line.
Uh-huh. So money is the bottom line. So guess what happens? Especially like money is the bottom line. It's like just interesting, it's like, so with the circumstance of like the one-on-one client, it's like she's gonna be a no. You make her a no.
Yeah, I make her know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do have suggestions, but I want to know, as a CEO of your business, now seeing this, what are your thoughts now?
My thoughts on that model.
Yeah, like what comes up for you like when you're thinking about like, do you want to make her a no? Is that something that you want? We can always be like, yeah, like I want this person to be a no. I want this to be our relationship to be complete if you want, but is that truly what you're looking for?
No, I don't want to make her no.
And so I'm missing you're undermining your ability to make her a yes? To for her to be a yes. Because we don't want to make people. I'm gonna take it as like, yeah. So it's like within that, it's like interesting. I see this, and like, so you want her to be a yes?
Yeah, but I feel like I can't want that without being attached to her outcome.
Yes. With this is so great, being attached to her outcome. Beautiful. Okay. So this is where we're going to be committed for her and not attached. And that means that you have to create a ton of fucking safety for yourself to be like, okay, I am safe. My business is fine without her. My life is fine without her. Right? I know. I saw
We
that.
could coach on that too, because I'm still spinning it. You know, I've made less than $1,000 for the year. Like, this just keeps getting worse. You know, like, it was super painful. I mean, I'm being so dramatic about this, but like putting a 0 again on my sheet, I was like, ugh, like, this just isn't going to happen this year. But anyways, I'm a mess, I feel like, and we
No,
could
you're
coach.
not. Okay. So if you're thinking, okay, this is all thoughts that we are all going to have, and it's so normal, and there is zero judgment to happen this year. But of course, if you are, have you ever had someone, I'm not going to name names, but family members of mine, that like they make their, it's like they become very dependent on me to like provide them with like things, not necessarily funds, but like happiness, and like it doesn't feel great. It's like, of course, if you're like the whole weight of this business is on this person, of course that feels scary, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's like, but you've never, until this past week, have you ever done outreach ever
Um,
to like new people? Have you ever found like done presentations in front of new people? Have you ever done any of the things that I'm about to teach you until now?
I mean, I have done a webinar before. I mean, outreach specifically in the way that you're teaching it, not so much. Yeah.
So notice that your brain's already like, even though we haven't done anything that's new that I'm like paying to learn right now, it's like not gonna work. If you do anything with the thought it's not gonna work, not gonna happen this year, guess what? You undermine your ability to happen no matter how awesome the tools are. So we got to work with this thought this isn't going to happen this year. Is that really true? Like that there's no other way for you to make more than $1,000 this year? Less than $1,000?
I mean, I know that like the year is not done, and I know that I have the opportunity to sign more clients.
Okay.
It
And
just feels like I obviously don't know how to do that.
okay, how many clients have you had in the past?
I'd say between 10 and 15.
Okay.
I
So
mean, last year, this time last year, like I had already made like $6,000, and it wasn't even on one-on-one coaching. It was my lower ticket, like group coaching. And I just feel like, and again, it comes back to that thought that money is the bottom line. Because I feel like people don't want to spend a whole lot of money on coaching. You know, like my group coaching is like $297 or whatever for 6 weeks, and I've had the most success with people signing up for that. And then like I had like a second 6-week course that I only offer to the people that do my first one, and the re-sign, I guess if you want to say, on that was like pretty good. It was probably, 60 to 70%. And so I guess in my mind, I was like, and now I just have to figure out like how to sell them then on one-on-one coaching, like after that. But I mean, yeah.
So there are lots of thoughts.
Uh-huh.
I don't want you to make a decision with this thought. We are going to make decisions from thoughts that serve you. This and the money is the bottom line. Those aren't great thoughts to have decision making with as a CEO of your business. It's like, okay, yes, money is the bottom line. People don't want to spend money on coaching when we're thinking about this. And also, like, I want you to just like, your primitive brain is like yelling at you, like, you don't know how to send clients. People don't want to spend money on coaching. Money is the bottom line. I'm guessing, and we're not going to get into it, but like, there was probably someone or something in your past that created this kind of experience for you, and that's why you're having this experience now related to life. But what we can do, instead of like going down a deep journey to your subconscious, one of the things that I found really helpful is being able to be like, and I think I spoke about this like last week a little bit, is like, what if we can just like call this like Debbie Doom and Gloom? Like, it's like this is like a character that is very loud in your mind that happens very frequently. What do you feel like this version of you is? Like,
What, a name for her?
or like something, so that we could be like, okay, this is not me. This is not me truly. Like, these are subconscious thoughts, and just separating you from these thoughts.
I mean, yeah, Debbie Doom and Gloom, that's fine.
Give her like Debbie Doom and Gloom, okay? Money's the bottom, or it's like she's also really intense. Like, she's a very aggressive, like, money's the bottom line. You don't know how to, like, she's like a grumpy Debbie Gloom, like, good. It's like not great. We do not want her making the decision for your business, right? So money is the bottom line. Is that, like, within that, you have money coming in outside of this business? Is that true?
I mean, I have a full-time job, yeah.
Yeah, right? It's like, okay, so brain is like, okay, money's the bottom line, and we've met, and we need to comfort Debbie Gloom and Gloom. We need to be like, hey, it's okay. It's like, money's the bottom line, and we've got that bottom line met. You're safe here. It's okay. We've got the bottom line met, right? What about, I don't know how to sign clients? How can we reassure her that that's literally not true?
Well, for the thinking that the money is the bottom line, going back to that one really quickly, not necessarily like for me that I need to have money coming in, but like that's how my potential clients are making their decision, that like it has to be cheaper for them to want to sign up, that
Okay.
they can't afford it, I guess, or that they don't want to spend the money on that.
They can't afford it or want to spend money on it. Now, is that absolutely true? How can you reassure her that there are probably people out there that would love to learn how to unfrustrate their diet and learn how to, from you, a person who's lost 93 pounds in their life, they would probably love to work with you, and they've spent money on fucking so many things, so many diet things, Weight Watchers, like all these things that you could work with them. Like, they can't afford it and don't want to spend money on it. Are they spending money on other things to lose weight?
Yeah, they are.
Buying different clothes. Yeah. So is it that they can't afford it?
I mean, because my brain wants to go to, but like, what's a Weight Watchers membership? Like $20, $30 a month, even Corinne Crabtree, $60 a month. You know what I mean? Like,
So maybe it's like, let's come back to okay. So it's like I think that's the wanting factor. Okay. It's like, but can they afford it? There are people in the world that can afford your coaching. Correct.
I mean, people have paid it.
Right. So like, does that make her feel safer? It's like, actually, people have paid it before. Does she see that? Can she see that? Or is she still stuck?
I mean, I feel like I'm going way into the weeds because then my mind is, oh, and the majority of Americans are in debt. So she's not helping herself. She's just putting it on a credit card. And I know like, it's like, I don't even need to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
It just feels very like, yeah, I'm very like gripped into this. Like I'm very like stuck.
Yeah. So, but it's like, think about the amount of, it's like thinking about, and that's why we're working on this. Everyone probably has these thoughts on this call. And I want you guys to be thinking about how you are dealing with your Debbie, what do I call her? Debbie
Downer for
Debbie
Debbie.
Downer. Debbie Doom and Gloom. Think about how you are treating, like everyone has a Debbie Doom and Gloom. What would you say to people who don't want to spend money on coaching? What would you say to they can't afford it? What would you say to people don't want to spend money on this? Okay. And then we're going to share, like, I want you guys to share what you're thinking, but like within that, people have literally paid it before. Now, let's say people have put it on a credit card, right? Which is going to cause more debt for them over time. Health issues due to being overweight or paying for your coaching.
Yeah, I mean, if they continue to be really, be overweight and use food to cope with life, their grocery bill is going to continue to be really high. They're going to have lots of medication and medical costs potentially. And, and I guess not a monetary amount, but I mean, shorten their life as well.
Yeah. Could we consider that helping themselves by putting it on a credit card? Even if they go into debt, wouldn't that be better than this shit?
Yeah.
It's like short-term debt or long-term gain, or gain to long-term loss in your case. Does she see that? Not you, I know you see that. Does she see that like it would actually help? It would be way better for her financially to put this on a credit card than for her to keep living like she is.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And you guys see, like, we're just loosening it up. Okay. This thought, I don't know how to sign clients. Do you believe, how many clients would you like?
Um,
How much does Debbie Doom and Gloom want to feel?
I mean, really and truly, what
Yeah.
12?
12. Okay. Do you believe that if you were to talk to, if you want to, if you were to talk to people who are doing weight loss, Weight Watchers, like all these different things that the world has, like, especially as women, like a lot of people are like looking to lose weight. That's 5,200 people a year. Do you think that 12 out of the 5,200 people, 0.002% of those people, do you think that maybe that percentage of people might want to work with you? Do you
Yeah.
believe that that's possible? Like, probably of the whole world, there are probably 12 people that want this.
So those 10 people a day, I mean,
That's it.
that includes all the hot, cold, warm. And do those have to be, I mean, I guess in that equation, we're also saying that those would be new and unique 10 people every single day.
Okay. Do you hear how your brain is just fighting?
No,
It's like, hey,
I know, I'm like, well, how is this really, truly, really hard work that you won't be able to accomplish?
right. How can this be harder? I
Let's
love
find
that.
the hole.
It's like, okay, so there are 52 weeks in a year. That's 20 times 52. There's still 1,000 people, 1,040. Okay. It's 11%. Do you think that 11% of those people will probably just maybe want to work with you. Or think about it. Everyone in here knows like at least a wedding full of people, right? So maybe of those people, of those 11,001 or 1,040 people, then do you think that maybe of the 1,040 people, they might know they or somebody they know might want to work with you? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, this is helpful. I know I'm being difficult,
No,
but
but everyone needs to see these numbers, okay? This is so good. Okay. So it's just 11% might know somebody that you could work with. And we just want to get your brain back into possibility.
and actually I think it was it 0.011, which actually is 1.1%. Yeah.
Thank you.
For Talia, yeah, it's only 1%, so it's even better.
0.02. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So ladies, yeah. Math. I'm talking numbers within 10 and 20, bitches. That's why I had a percentage. Whoa. So I got calculators. Whew. But within this, it's like, does your brain now see that like having this business of your dreams, being able to work from home, being able to have flexibility to be with these 4 fucking cool kids that you have, do you see that this could be possible for you?
Yeah.
Development to have, and let's say that you do want to have this, I know your wants, I know your whys, like $1 million business, a book deal, all these things that you want to create in the world. It really is not that hard. And this is how all the like literally like when I was talking with this girl, she's had like 3 multi-million-dollar businesses. This is how she did it. Another person, she built 4 multi-million-dollar businesses. Her business has been multi-million-dollar for years. Rachel Bell, the person who I learned this stuff from, the one who doesn't have the program anymore, she did it on outreach. Like everybody that I know who I've learned from, Stacey Bayman, meet people, tell them you're a life coach, offer to help them. Literally her trademark. I just have a way of organizing it a little bit better. All of them have built their business. Corinne Crabtree, she was in the business for like 20 years beforehand, right? Something crazy. And she's selling it for, guess how she sold it to people? She talked to people and told them what they did. She did. This is how all of the people who a lot of us maybe look up to started.
Yeah.
They had these same thoughts. All of them, I'm sure did. They had these same fears. They had these same concerns, and they just figured out how to hack their brain enough to get them through it. You are one of the, no, I have not seen anyone post in this group more than you. And that's awesome. And everyone is like, you do not need to post in this group, but like, I mean, I know that you're doing the fucking work. I can see that all of you guys are doing the work and I can see that, but just specifically for your brain, if you were, I know that you're willing to put the work in to meet these people. This is just the work that you never knew about beforehand. Nobody taught you this. When I learned this, I was like, why isn't anybody teaching this? Like, oh, I guess I'll do it, you know? But this year is not done. The year, okay, how much did you make last year? Without outreach.
Well, I made around 11,000. But I also, this is where my brain, Debbie Downer's here. She also says that I went to life coach school, so it was actually a negative. We actually did not make money last year.
Okay, so brains, do you know how long it is supposed to take for a business to make money? 5 years.
Yeah.
That's why credit was invented in the 1920s, because they found that nobody was building businesses because it costs too much. No one is supposed to have the capital to invest in a business before ever. Like, well, unless you have like a huge amount of capital, like from like awesome life experiences, but the world needs business owners that maybe don't have those kind of like economic opportunities. That's why credit cards were invented. That's why being in debt as a business owner is insanely normal for the first 5 years, 5 to 10 even. Like if you're a brick and mortar, think about that. I looked down on the road and I'm like, how did someone have the audacity to be like, I can do this? So proud of them and so glad that our businesses are a lot leaner than that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it's normal. And guess what? Do you think you're probably going to make more than that in the lifetime of your business? And you could also leave your business anytime you ever want, but I don't think you want to. Based on your whys, I think you got pretty strong reasons why you don't want to just be like, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm still actively working on the making money thoughts.
And now you can see that there are thoughts, and there's also a little bit of how. There's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of line in there that you didn't
Mm-hmm.
know existed. Now you know the A line. You willing to go out and do it?
Yeah.
Are you, even though your thoughts might not be perfectly clean, beautiful, it's like you don't have to have clean thoughts to make money. Lord, look at the businesses in the world. It's like that. I don't think there's a lot of business owners that have clean thoughts or feelings. I think sometimes as coaches, personally, we make it a lot harder on ourselves than it needs to be. Look
Yeah.
at burglars. They ring on doorbells. They like put one of the my former parents, like her mom is one of the most tenacious people ever. And she like I get a letter from her every week, handwritten. That's how people did it before. Thank God we got social media. A little bit easier than writing an ad in the newspaper, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So now, how are you feeling about like 6 months? We got like 5 months left to do all this work with me to support you, the whole group to cheer you on. Do you think that you can do this work, bring in some more people for your business? Cool.
I'm
And
willing to do the work.
all we need, okay? With the resigning call, the only feedback I would give you as a coach of yours is I would do it 4 weeks before. So I'd do it like a month before the end. And I actually did a post about this like 2 weeks ago. So if you want to like look through it, it's like pretty much everything I teach you. But hey, here's how you do it. Next steps, it's not a breakup. Honesty is the best policy. And then like I've had people say no. So I'll send this to you guys, to you.
Okay.
And that is it. Anybody else have some thoughts before we move on? I know this was a lot, but I know that like I've had every single one of the thoughts that you've had 1,000,000% before. Does anyone have any other thoughts to give Andrea?
I
Oh.
do. I just want to let you know, Andrea, that I call her the wounded maiden, and she's very like dramatic and really wants to be rescued. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah, she's always like got lots of negative judgment for me, and it's really helped to like create some separation between me and her.
Mm-hmm. And normalizing and creating separation for sure.
Well, and I think, you know, because I've really struggled with kind of being stuck with my really dramatic wounded lady myself. And when you were going over that, the triad, the second part of that, Megan, and that bottom piece was like become energized. I feel like that's also the place where I'm lacking, and I need that equal and opposite to the wounded lady. I need to have the, you know, boss ass CEO or whatever, right? And like intentionally spending time with that and creating like those that feeling and that energy that I want to be in. Because I think that I've really, especially in the thought downloads, and I can't remember if I shared that in the stream or not, but like I feel like I was getting really stuck in like only speaking to the wounded lady when I was doing my thought downloads and figuring out, well, what's wrong here? Like, what do I need to fix? But I felt like that just like magnified those feelings and got my brain really good at like finding all those issues and problems. So I'm trying not to go into the woe is me for like those thought downloads necessarily, and just being like, all right, so here's currently what's happening, and being maybe a little bit more like matter of fact about it, or even in a positive way, and like seeing like where that's coming through my business. And then even for the intentional, like how can I even like boost it up a bit, right? Or what's the next iteration of that thought or feeling or whatever.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this just like gave me so many thoughts, because like one of the ways I was thinking about last week is like, what does the wounded lady, or like the wounded maid, what does she need to hear to become the boss as CEO? What if she could be both? Like that's another idea. That also the reason why I like the boss as CEO, even if that is a separate entity from you, is you are not your business. Your business's growth or things like that have completely different, like it's like the way that your business is, it has nothing to do with you or your self-worth as a person. And like if you think about like this, I was on a coaching call and she said like the C's aren't always like the C's, something about like the C's being like the circumstances are not always, they're neutral, but they're not always equitable. So it's like if you're comparing yourself to other people's growth, it's like we don't know what that person had going on for them beforehand. Like what kind of situations they have beforehand. It was Marina. I was talking with her and she was like, there are different C's. Like one of she's was in 200K with me and she was like, yeah, like I also don't have access to like these kind of people. I had to go out and I had to talk to people one-on-one every single day, like knocking on doors. Like there were different, some people don't have to do that. I don't know why that is, but they don't compare yourself to someone else's growth, because we want to separate you and your self-worth from your business. Like they had different circumstances, you have different circumstances. And the other thing that Stacey spent my first round, she did like a 0 to 200K problems. And she said that the main problem that she saw with people who were in the 0 to 200K range is they would try and solve problems that there was no action for. Like, it's like, oh, it's like, well, it's like, or they would just get stuck in that and being like, oh, it's like, I don't know how to sign clients. Like there is no solution for that. Like it's like literally like not even true. It's like, okay, or it's like if you are in a place where you've never signed a client, it's like, okay, I guess I better learn how to sign a client. That means I've got to bring some consults in. That means I've got to talk to a fuck ton of people. Or like within the where was it? It was like people don't want to spend money on coaching. It's like maybe the people I've been talking to don't want to spend money on coaching. Fine. Let's solve it with an action of finding more people who have money to talk to. It's like that is an actual problem, it's not a self-worth problem. Or it's like, or like the problems like the hopeless, like it's like, oh, I don't ever, it's like we don't want to spend any time there on the unintentional model. We only want to focus on problems you can actually solve within the model. So like if you're spending all of your unintentional models thinking about like, oh, there's something wrong with me as a person, something has gone wrong in my business, it's like, okay, well, what has gone wrong? How can I fix that with this model? If you get to the point where you're literally just focusing on the problems in your business, you can even leave out the unintentional model. I've done that before and just focused on thought work. But I think that's badass. Talia, I'm really glad that you brought that up. And also I like the idea of having like the boss as CEO. Huge. So good. Awesome stuff. That was a in-depth one, but I could see everyone's like taking deep notes. I'm sure that like this is something that everyone has been having a problem with at some point in their business, and you will have it again. It comes up at every level. So thank you for bringing that up today.
All right, thanks.
Of course. Anybody else want some coaching?
Okay, I'll go.
All right.
Always keeping
Kara,
some
give us
clean.
a win and then let's get going.
On the win front, I created a client last week and she paid in
Woo!
full and it was easy.
I'm so proud of you.
I just feel a lot of sense of possibility for this kind of quantum leap that I'm looking to create in my business, but I'm noticing this week since yesterday, it feels like there's a little part of me that's like, oh, like pulling back on the reins a bit. I've shared with you all that I want to do Project 84, and I still haven't really done it, and it feels like my brain just wants to say, well, yeah, but like you haven't really had time, but I feel like that's more of an excuse than the truth. So I don't know what's up with that. I feel like I know what works. I know it doesn't have to be hard. And the only way I can like mess up is by like not doing the action. And here I am.
And I totally fucked up your quote from last week, but like a wise woman once said on a coaching call that like you don't regret the things that you don't do, you regret the things that you that don't fuck. You don't regret the things that you did do.
She said something. Yeah.
Something wise, and it was you, and you said something about like, oh, sorry, baby, I'm cursing a lot.
Yeah, you regret the things that you don't do, not the things that you did do. I
Exactly.
don't know. And I think I'm wondering whether this is just a little bit of like kind of what I call the diving board effect that I think I've talked to you about, which is like just spending too much time in non-doing and thinking about doing the thing can just kind of breed overthinking.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's why I've been a little more not fully present on today's call, because I just wanted to like get one of them recorded so I could just get the ball rolling.
Of course. Well, and so another thing so this is like, I think that like the overthinking effect, all of us that are on the call, Vindy is not with us today. She is with us today. Oh my God. She got an award, and so she's like receiving it for her journalism, which is so exciting. If you watch this back, well done. But so I think as coaches, especially, we think that we have to think our way into a business. So I think that we like think about like how our thoughts are perceiving, and like as like all these things that we do is like we put so much pressure on ourselves to like think before doing. We want to, and actually NC State's catchphrase is like think and do. It's like we want to think and do. We want to do the things. And I want you to think about, I think the reason why you're spending so much time overthinking is because you're putting a lot of pressure on this Project 84 to be like, it's like there's so much pressure on it to get it like right, maybe. Or like what's coming up with you there?
I think it doesn't like, I'm not experiencing it as pressure, but there's something there with like what I'm expecting myself to create, which I'm not too sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've already touched on that. It's just a little bit of like wanting it to come out looking a certain way, I guess, or sounding a certain way, and kind of just revising some of the things that I was going to release. And when I went to record some of them, I was like, it doesn't feel conversational. It just was like missing a quality of something. And I know I could just like put it out there anyway, and that's kind of the whole point, but it just felt like an easy fix. So then I just kind of reformatted a bunch of things yesterday.
Okay. So if you felt like it wasn't missing a quality, if it was conversational, what are your expectations to happen from those posts?
It's interesting because I really can feel that I'm like detaching from vanity metrics and things like that. Like I understand with the way that the like algorithm is, that it's like me posting 2 times a day actually probably isn't like gonna be what the algorithm like loves, but I don't care. It's like if one person, what I share like resonates with them, then, and even if that one person is me, then I'm kind of at peace with that. I just think I'm talking about some like deep truths and things of mine, and I'm wanting it to come through as truthful, but I think there's an element of just getting comfortable on camera and not like whoop, kind of that takes some of the authenticity I feel out of it.
Mhm. I was with you until you just said that. Tell me more.
It's like we're so used to like the camera comes on as like a bit of a performance, or right, it's no longer feels like you just like as if I'm really working on like connecting with the camera, like the camera is a person, so that I can just relax and be myself and speak more freely. Because otherwise it comes across a little bit like I'm teaching or preaching, instead of I'm leaning in to have a conversation with someone.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there are two pieces I just want to like bring awareness to. If you're doing 84 posts, I want you to think about your feed, okay? Just the feed is going to change pretty drastically in a very quick manner. So like I think that it's hold on, 9 divided by 84. Okay, so you're gonna go through like 10-ish of these feeds. So it's gonna be like, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like that's a lot of shifts in your feed. To get started, it's like this element of like, it's like, well, what I want to put out there, I want to be proud of, and don't want it to feel like teaching or preaching. If it felt like teaching or preaching, or it didn't feel conversational, if it was missing in quality, what are you making that mean about you and your business? That's, I think, what's holding you back from going for it and doing it horribly. The fuck it mentality. And I know that now you have headphones on, so I feel
don't know that I'm like making it mean this like deep and dark thing. I think you just put your finger on it. It's like I want to feel proud of what I like put out there, and when it feels off or like it doesn't like reflect what I want to teach the way I want to teach it, or
yeah.
or what I want to share the way I want to share it, or who I am the way that I want to feel like I am, then I just kind of rework it. I just feel like this is one of those things that's just going to be solved with like a little action taking, because I know once I get some momentum going, my brain is very gestalt and like wants to like not break the pattern, and is going to be more on board with this.
Right. And I think it's because it's like you, and like I know that you know this, but I want you to do what the brilliant thing that Andrew is saying is like, I want you to have a different persona, and not necessarily someone that like is the teacher preacher version of you, but it's like I want you to have like, know that your business is not you. It's like this is just something that you've created in your world. It's like this is something you're leaving in the world, but it doesn't have to be reflecting what you teach, who you are as a person. That's why I think that you're keep reworking it and reworking it and reworking it. It's like, and I agree. I'm like, what can we do to get you to take that first leap? What can we do to get that first post out? And I know that you're gonna, as soon as you get that first post out, you're gonna go with it. But what would it take for you to just
I think it's going to be the first week is going to be the most challenging to just maintain, because I feel like I bypass, well, I just like kind of let myself feel like, we're just kind of like in a little prep phase last week, and I was just sharing more text-based things. but I don't think it's stopping me. I think like I just need to get them both. The first one's done today. They're filmed now. That's why I was just like, okay, I need to just film
Right.
this. And then just maybe taking a little bit of time today to kind of set up the rest of this week so that I can hold myself to account. Because I think once I'm through the first week,
Me too.
the biggest hurdle will be over.
Yeah. And if anybody, this is for everybody, like taking the action to do the first outreach or like a first outreach after a while, all that shit. It's like the first time is the hardest, and then you get into a routine and you're like, okay. So if anybody wants to do co-working together, that's what happened with the last round. Like you guys find each other on Instagram, find each other like wherever. I'm gonna tag that picture with everybody on it so you guys can find at least Instagrams there and do it with somebody else. Be like, we're gonna be really uncomfortable together and we're just gonna go for it. And we're gonna make this happen. And like I taught and preached and I said things all wrong. And I'm so proud of that version of myself. It was completely inauthentic. It wasn't reflecting who I am, what I do. And I'm so proud of her because she had the courage to get going. And because she had the courage to get going, we are sitting here today because of her. The girl that did it all wrong and teaching you how to do it a little bit better than she did. Not that there's a wrong or right way to do things, but I want you to be proud of yourself for being messy and doing it not in a way that feels authentic at all. It's going to feel forced. It's going to feel gross. I guarantee it. It's going to feel bad. If you're willing to feel inauthentic for the first little bit, it gets better and then it gets to the authenticity. But it's like if you aren't willing to take that first like inauthentic, it's like the first awkward, inauthentic, coming out all wrong piece, then what happens is you just never take that step. And you're way too good at what you do to just keep like there are so many people who could use you. They're way like you just gotta take that first step and be like, all right, I'm willing to do it wrong because I'm gonna help you do it wrong to do it right. Wrong for your soul. Obviously, there's no right or wrong way to do this.
Yeah.
And you have
I-
off from life coach school. Like you have off from this contract too. So this is the time.
I know.
You're
Takes
always
time.
gonna remember May 9th, the day that will live on in infamy. Or good things. Infamy is not good. Again, taught first in kindergarten, so vocab also working on it, but it doesn't need to be that serious. Have fun with it. Remember, it changes. Like the more fun you can have with it, the better it'll be. Be like, yep, this is gonna be shitty and it's gonna be weird, and I'm willing to do it. Let's go.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
We're cheering you on. Are you open to any feedback? Anybody have any ideas?
Yeah, of course.
I just have a thought to share from a place of struggle, not success for the record. But one of the things that a thought I've been practicing is that like the more you post, the less significant any single post is. And so there's like some amount of safety in just like getting volume out there because you don't have to be perfect. You know that there's no person who's going to see every single one of your posts. So for what it's worth, that's something I've been practicing, but don't look at my Instagram. Because I have you could because my personal Instagram is where I used to do my business stuff, and I actually think I'm going back to that. And I have a lot more volume and it feels safer to post there, which is part of the reason why I'm just gonna start using that.
Love that. And also you started by saying that this is for a place of struggle, not success. I want to offer that struggle and success one and the freaking same. How does that feel, Sarah?
Sorry, I thought you were talking to Talia. Yes. No, I agree. I mean, like, it really, I am trying to cultivate what we talked about last week, which is just the spirit of play with it. And that's why I'm embraced why it appeals to me like a challenge in a kind of like playful way. It's just kind of letting that inner child, if you will, come through a little bit more. But I think you're right, Talia, in that like probably there's a part of me that's like, ooh, my feet look so pretty right now. And it's like gonna be like mess. And but it's just kind of letting it go. It's not the important things. And but I think I'm more ready to do that. I think it really just is the antidote is a little bit of action and a push in the tushy.
Yep. Is action. And you said something and I thought of something, and that's okay. I'll tell you later.
Can
Oh.
I offer something really quickly?
Of course.
That sense of play kind of really spoke to me as a mom of 4 kids. Play isn't always super fun, and it doesn't always go the way you want it to go either. There's skinned knees, there's little tiffs that break out, there's little your toy gets broken or whatever. So just kind of a spin and some perspective that although it mostly can be fun, don't expect it to just be 100% like sunshine, rainbows, and fun, right? Like there might be some other stuff that comes along with it, and that's okay too.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, agree.
Oh, I love that analogy. I'm because I was gonna do a post about play, and I'm also gonna add this to the post to be like, play is easier. It's like play is the way that your brain can make these pathways, and also isn't always super fun. Yo, we are so brilliant as like a collective whole. Like, can we just take a minute and like just think about like how awesome it is that we are just like brainstorming these ideas across countries. Like, this is an intercontinental call, and we're gonna change the world because of it. Like, get really excited. Life is awesome. Okay, amazing. Who else?
Oh, could I share something too?
Of course.
Sarah, you said something, you're like, part of me is like, my feed looks like really great and I like how it looks now. And I've heard this like said before, this idea of like on the way to like becoming who you want to be, there's like a complete like shedding of who you are now. But, like, part of you has to die.
Yeah.
And I think like that can be like really little, like tiny deaths. I think you might be in a place where you're maybe calling in like a bigger which I think like kind of also like points to what Andrea was saying about skin knees and broken toys. And not that it has to be like maybe as scary as like physical death, but that there is maybe this like discomfort and unknown, and yeah, all of that. And I really resonate with what Megan said too about like looking back. Like I almost am at a point now of like, because I've heard that said before, I'm like, oh, kind of how do you even go about doing that? But I have moments, if I look back at some of my stuff, I'm like, dude, cringe. It feels like, it's like, oh, that wasn't quite me. Like I was like testing something because I wanted to like, I also wanted like a little bit of a death. Or I wanted to expand, etc. And I kind of am at a point where I'm like, you can't do that without maybe like the cringe part is kind of part of it. I think.
Yes, it's on.
I'm like, is there a way to do it? Well, like I think you have to choose to be like proud of even when it's cringy, to be like, I still, that's maybe like the deeper work is like, I still really love her.
Mm-hmm. How does that land?
Yeah, definitely. I think am like, you can't change your life without changing you. And the next level of growth for me is gonna demand a next version of myself. And kind of just like with birth, there's some pains that come along with that, in the like redefining of myself. But I think I'm noticing that there's a part of me that it's not going to take, it's like hanging on by a thread. I feel like I'm operating my business from a place of a lot less attachment. But back to what Talia was saying, I think like I will feel safer once I have some of the volume just coming out, because I won't be so attached to what was before. I'll be much more present but moment focused, and focused on the future of what I want to convey. But I think it's like releasing attachment to that looking some type of way too, and really working on what I've shared with all of you, which is just really fuck vanity metrics. Like, it's not about that. Really letting go of like all what has been ingrained over the past years of, no, you're supposed to post at this time and you're supposed to like like, no. Like, I just want to be done with that. I'm deciding I'm done with that. And I think a little bit of messy action is just going to be my way of just embodying, I'm done with that energy.
I totally agree. And I think that like that's huge. And like, God, I look back at some of mine, like, y'all, my first, I feel like it was like one of my first reels, but my reel that I did, it was like it was some weird stuff. Like, it was like so funky. I like literally like I I took a box of like silverware and I put it on the counter and I was like, this is a mess. And then I put it back in a container. I was like, and this is organized. I'm like, that's how I'm gonna do things with your time. It's so like it's amazing. And it's that messy, massive action, being willing to do that, have nobody show up for that after I marketed it for 6 weeks and still keep going. That like definitely it's so worth it. It's so worth it. I promise it's safe. And that's why we have this container. Also, like, look at all of us. Like, we're all supporting each other. We're all fighting for each other to like become the version of us that we like, you can see in each other. And like, you have us to rely on. Rely on this group. We're here for it. Remember what I was going to say is like, it's going to feel awkward, but we have 5 more months to get through the awkwardness together. So it's like, if we can make it through together, rely on this group. I want it to feel like a family, and know that like it's going to be worth it on the other side of it. Like, by freaking October, when you take this massive action, our businesses are going to be unrecognizable. All of us, me included. So I'm really proud of you. In the best way, unrecognizable in a really good way. All right, that was a lot. Anybody else? Are we feeling like that was a good one? I've got 10 minutes ish left. So bring it, whoever else wants some coaching. We're on fire today, I feel like.
I have something that could be kind of quick. We can
Yes.
use our last 10 minutes. So I've been thinking a lot about the
Oh, give us a win real quick.
oh yeah, when I did a presentation last week
Yeah.
and I didn't die.
What's your favorite color again?
Like teal turquoise.
Perfect.
There.
I'm so proud of you. We're gonna learn about that next week. Amazing. Okay, thinking a lot about what?
That kind of like transition of like my business is a baby and I don't expect it to pay rent.
Mhm.
Now it's kind of feeling more like it's home from college and playing video games and calling it a gap year, you know, and I'm like ready to like maybe hold it more accountable. And I think that that's like like that feels like the tipping point that I'm at.
Okay. Interesting use of words here. I what do you want to do to hold the business accountable?
I think I was realizing that like one of like my thoughts that limit me is that like I kind of get stuck on the like if my business isn't like making money, like the solution is I was just realizing like the thoughts I was having about money is like how am I going to make it on a little bit of money instead of how am I going to go out and make more money.
Interesting, good catch.
And so it's like there's this belief that like I think there's a belief that like my business like can't make more money. And I mean, I've made the thing, and this is where I think it's time to like hold my business accountable because I have made money in my business. And I do like live off the money that my business brings in, like not as comfortably as I would like to. But I do feel a bit like I've been babying it, like not expecting more of it.
Okay. So I'm glad that you're catching this. Also, I want it to be from that committed, not attached feeling of the expectation. So when we're talking
Mhm.
about, and I want you to like just check in with yourself. There's no such thing as like a wrong thought, and accountable and expecting are words for me that don't always seem like they're coming from a place of like, and sometimes there won't be like things that feel like they're coming from a place of love or care, but like those words for me don't always feel like very expansive and or just like
Mm,
coming from a place of possibility. It comes from like a place of pressure. So do the
yeah.
words accountable and expectation, do those feel like words that like feel good and like not necessarily feel good, because again it's not always about feeling good, but does it feel like okay, like I'm now ready, like those are the two words that I was like just stood out to me. I was like interesting choice of words, like
Mhm.
um do those feel like they're coming from a place of possibility, because they might for you.
I think like kind of the way, like in that analogy, I think it does. Like, I
Okay.
think it's like just because, um, like, I think my previous expectations were like, I don't expect my business to pay rent, which is like, I think I stayed in that too long, you know what I mean? And so, like I think it's okay to have higher expectations of my business. And maybe I should use the word belief.
I was
But
like
like,
desire, those are words that like it's
yeah.
like possibility, like it's like those, it's like oh my gosh, I can see, it's like I can see this is possible for you, like you
Mhm.
for this business. It's like I see that you've gone through this growth phase, and I can just see that like we're ready for the next step, we're ready. Like I imagine like the kids who I used to teach, I'd be like okay, it's like we're going from a level E to a level F book, and these words they might feel a little different, but it's going to be amazing because when you go to a level F, then there's going to be other levels and you're going to love it. You're going to like all the things that we're like excited about reading right now. You know, like just get ready because you're going to start to picture things in your mind. They won't even be on the page. That, like, I want you to get to that place of being like, this is going to be like awesome, and like it's going to be challenging. But like when I say the word awesome, it doesn't always necessarily mean good all the time. It's going to be like incredible, like let's just see what is possible for us versus like okay, better get to a level F, this is the reading level
Right.
of the year, and if you're not there it's going to be fucking trouble, like you're going to, it's
Well,
like yeah.
I think there is a little bit of that though, because like at this point, I don't have a job. And so if my business doesn't make money, we can't pay rent. You know what I mean? So there is like some like, and I think that's okay. Like there is
Yeah.
consequences to me and my business not showing up like fully. You know what I mean? And so like I think that like I was listening to one of Stacy's podcasts yesterday about pressure, and like sometimes there is pressure. And sometimes you just have to like do it under pressure.
Yeah.
Um and that was, I think that was a really helpful shift for me. So I think that's like the transition that I feel like I'm in now is like, okay, we're grown up, we have to pay rent, and like we have to figure out how to do this. And if we don't, like there are going to be problems.
And I
You know what
went
I mean?
like from a place that like the consequences, but even then it's like we will figure it out. No matter what,
Yeah.
we will figure it out, we will be safe. Like what, because here's what I don't want to happen is what happens sometimes is when we put too much pressure on ourselves from a place of like, okay, like there's no other option. Like the way that you said, like we've got to pay the rent. That's just what made me like, huh. I'm like, that is, I hear it, and I just don't want you to go from a place of pressure to go full dorsal vagal on me.
Yeah.
All right, it's like, okay, I put like a little bit of pressure on myself, which you can do things, not know how to get back into here and go into here. I just don't want you to jump.
Right.
That's where I
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like,
Mhm.
yes, and please don't shut down. But if you do, we'll get you
Mhm.
back in there. But it's like it's like
Mhm.
a really bad British accent. Sorry, friends, but it's like we just don't want you to be like get to the point where like, well, I put all this pressure on myself and I didn't make any money for like 3 months because I literally was just like, ah. But there is a pressure. Like for me, I think I work really well under pressure. Like from what if everyone can listen to Stacey's podcast, I'll feel free to like add it. Um, but when she was talking about it, it's like for me, I go into like she talked about like how her dog was like choking on a chicken bone and she like just went and grabbed it. And like I get like that too. Like when
Mhm.
my mother was in the hospital, like she was about to pass away, and I was like, okay, we're getting this rental car, we're gonna do this. Like I get into like action from that.
Yeah.
We just, and I think Stacey mentioned this as well. You don't want to stay here forever. You want to know
Right.
like when to amp it up, know how that it's within your control, that you are still safe, and also know how to de-escalate as well.
Yeah. That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, and without using these words, this is I think what she meant is like knowing that like, okay, I can activate. Also, excitement is in this phase, which is one of my
Right.
favorite emotions to feel. It's like I get
Mhm.
excited, but if I try and stay excited forever, it like I'll burn out.
Mhm.
It's like getting in a place of like, okay, I'm gonna amp up the excitement. Like right now, I'm really excited for this 5-day training. I'm like, it's gonna be, it's like it's gonna change people's lives. I'm gonna talk to people about like literally like, and y'all feel free to come. I think y'all all on my email list. I'll check, but like I'm gonna talk to people about like how when I was starting a business, nobody taught me that like I spent 40 hours doing outreach in all of 2022. 40, that's it. That's the only time that I spent talking to people. And it's where I got 19 of my clients and 76% of my consults. So do that. Like, but and so I'm so excited for people to see that. And I'm also like, I'm not going to stay in the excited energy about this training forever.
Right, right. Yeah, no, that's useful. Yeah, and I don't want to be in a like I really do want to get to a place where, and I think that that's the problem is like that feels like the tipping point is like every month I'm like, okay, we got to make this happen, and it always does. Like it always comes in. But it does feel like this like really like roller coaster of like just barely making it. And I want to move beyond that.
And I just like wanted to like just change the verbiage, like because sometimes
Mhm,
like vernacular really does make a difference. Like we have to make
mhm,
it happen versus we are going to make it happen.
yeah.
It's a level of trust versus level of fear, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
I want you to trust. And now that you have networking and things like that, have you ever done that before?
What
Like
have I ever done? Can you
the
rephrase that?
yeah, have you ever done like the lead tracking like the way I taught you?
No,
So
I haven't done the lead tracking.
okay, cool. So let me just tell you why, like literally, like what I'm gonna teach to all the humans, I'm gonna be like, this is like the whole thing I'm teaching, but like I literally like went in and you guys are gonna figure out your conversion rate. And if you have to go right at noon, that's totally fine. Feel free to like message me or like do your individual like eval if you haven't had a chance to do that. Oh my gosh, look, who is she? I also added that today, by the way. Very exciting. But it's like so when I did my consults, which by the way, your consults are a form here. So that's why this is the key for it. But I figured out that I was like, I did all of these consults, word of mouth and networking were all the ones that were read. just so you guys can see, and feel free to like watch the whole thing if you want. But like all of these people were word of mouth. Instagram, no conversion, no conversion, 2 converted, no conversion, 1 converted. I was like, very important. So if I got 25 of my consults from doing exactly what I taught you today, and I only spent 40 hours on it, I like literally broke it down by hours. So I was like, I spent only 40 hours doing this, and I spent 1,800 hours on Instagram alone. I need to spend more time doing the networking piece. And guess what? I still haven't done it perfectly. Guess why? Because life isn't perfect and my business sure as shit ain't. It never will be. But it's like, just notice, like, if you guys are going to like into like the marketing place, like the thing is, it's like you want to it's almost like diversifying your income, diversifying your marketing. We're gonna do it all. We're gonna have webinars, we're gonna have Instagram, we're gonna have networking. Those are my top 3. That's why I teach it. And it's worked for everybody else I've seen. However, we also, I just don't want you to put so much pressure on yourself that you like it, this is all new stuff. It's like the way that you phrased it was we made it work. We've always been able to like skate by. And I want to show you that maybe yes, like just with Andrea, but you've never had these tools ever before. So this is your first time ever using this stuff. And you did a presentation, which is fucking awesome. And I'm so proud of you. But it's like, even presentations are going to shift and get better, even better than they already were, because I'm sure it was awesome. So all those things are great. And I want to open it up for anybody else. If you guys have any ideas about like, is something stood out to you within this?
I'll make another quick book recommend. Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo. I like her practice of like really going into the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And like, if the absolute worst thing were to happen, like what would you do? Because it really does give yourself that like safety that even if it does happen, I have a plan. This is what I would do. I would go get a job, I would go start selling to these people or that, you know what I mean? And just like pivot here, there, whatever, and just give yourself that safety of like, no matter what, like I'm going to be fine. I feel like that has really helped, and I like doing that activity.
Love that.
Thank you.
I think that's incredible. And I'm so with you. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do to help my anxious brain. It helps. Amazing. Well, thank you all so, so much. I'm so proud of you guys. Like, I feel like each week we just keep getting better and better. Like, and I really do think it's just going to keep getting better. There are obviously going to be like dips in momentum and things like that, but like, you guys are kicking ass. I'm watching your stuff. I know you guys are working so hard. Keep it up. If you need my help at all, you know where to find me. And I will see you all soon. Okay? Bye.